Health is a container to have productive disagreement, and that includes constructive feedback. It's not that no news is good news, it's like bad news is good news.
Somebody told me I suck this week. That's how you know, yeah, people are interested. So Anna, welcome. I am so happy to have you here. For people who don't know you yet, how do you describe what you do now and how did you end up in community after a career in legal
Yeah,
ops?
yeah. Ellie, I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun meeting you in person in Chicago at CGI earlier, and we'd connected earlier this year too. And now it's sort of like I get to count you among my circle of friends in the industry. I'm so happy to know you. So it's a pleasure
Likewise.
to be on. So my name is Anna Richards. I am Bright Flag's head of community. This is a relatively new role for me. I have been in legal tech and legal ops for about 20 years at this point. I started with a long stint in e-discovery, moved into legal operations proper, first as a project manager, and then quickly into leadership where I was building teams at high-growth SaaS companies and Fortune 100 manufacturing companies. I did a very quick stint in a legal AI startup, and from there found my way into this role with Bright Flag. And Bright Flag is a space that I hadn't been looking for, hadn't sort of like had on the radar as a career option, had known the brand, had loved them. I brought them in and implemented at Zendesk, and had stayed in touch with Kevin Cohn, our GM, and the brand is excellent. It's nice to be aligned with a company that does things that you believe in and sort of acts in a way that you can feel proud of. But truly, I'm here because I had the opportunity to take on what has really been my dream job after many years in the industry, getting to do the stuff that I love the most, which is to interact with the people, to provide a platform for people to build their own careers, to help advance the conversation and do some of that like education and knowledge work. So I feel lucky every day. I'm just so thrilled to be here and into this like community building role.
Yeah, and like needless to say, you are fabulous at it. Like I will always say that. But you talked about dream roles. So like was there a specific moment like that you realized community was the thing that you wanted to do full time rather than a side effect of the legal ops work? Like how did that come about?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I had been aware of these sort of community roles through friendships that I had. So like Colin McCarthy, Mario Carroll, Steph Corey, like folks who have like built these communities.
The
Maybe
real OGs, like the
yes,
real,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, so I mean, on that point, I'm sort of in this in between generation, I'm realizing. So I'm not of the OG legal ops folks. I come a bit after that, but now there is this new wave that I think you are really representative of. I'll say hi to the people, Ellie. Of like kind of the fresh new like skills and people and eyes coming into this space. So I am finding myself now in this sort of like sandwich space between these folks who I've known and looked up to my entire career and had been like lucky enough to know personally and align to, and then sort of the new blood coming in and seeing where the industry is going to be like shaped. And I am in this privileged position to kind of straddle that and get to have conversations on both sides. Smooth Operators film that was screened, Susan Packel produced along with Spot Draft and Akshay Verma and their leadership team had put together. But it's about the origin story of legal operations. If you haven't seen it, you should. It is fabulous. But there was a line that stuck with me. I went to a screening in San Francisco last week, which was at some point the disruptors become disrupted. And speaking about sort of the OG class having done, what they've done to get us to where we are, we're all on the shoulders of giants or the standing on the shoulders of giants, right? But now this new wave of skills, roles, opportunities are coming in and really reshaping, okay, we've gotten that far. Where are we going to take this next? And so, in answer to your question, I had no idea that I could do this job. I had no idea. I was, leading huge teams at John Deere. I had this massive remit. We had nearly 500 attorneys globally. I had a team of 7 directly reporting to me. I had, this amazing opportunity to sort of build the first legal operations function that company had had. It's an 80,000 person company, Fortune 100, like this huge remit. And, after that, it's sort of like, what do you want to do with your life is sort of the point I got to. Do I want to keep going in different kind of like rinse and repeat roles? And it's never quite that, right? Like the beauty of this space is it's always day to day different, certainly like job to job different. But the principles I think remain fairly solid. Like you're going to need to make sure that the foundation is built. You're going to need to build relationships. You're going to need to do project management. You're going to need to do change management. You're going to need to be on the cutting edge of like the technology and own the stack. You're going to need to combat like low budgets and like high pressure and all of the things. So it's like, do you want to keep doing that, or is there something different that there might, be out there that would be better fit for me? That's how I found my way into the AI startup. I wanted to get closer to this technology that was everywhere, continues to be everywhere. We will have for the rest of our days everywhere. Um, and it was a great learning experience, not a good fit. I was something of a forward deployed engineer there. So I was working embedded with a corporate legal department. My whole job was to bring AI and to make them AI native into that department. Um, and through that, having maintained the relationships I have, having taken the chances that I have in my career, having made myself visible and said yes to speaking engagements, yes to attending conferences, yes to going and showing up at dinners and events, was invited to interview for this role, which wasn't something that had been posted. Like, it's not something I found on LinkedIn job board, although very valuable to have a LinkedIn job board pulled together. Ellie, thank you for your service in that area. I mean, truly, we have so many customers who I send over your way. It's awesome. But I was sort of approached saying, I think you could be a fit for this. Would you care to interview? Hell yes. And going through the process, understanding more and more about what it would be, which we can talk about in a little bit what it actually is. But the people I'd be working with, like the space or creativity that would exist, I have this opportunity that so few people get. I get to do this sort of mid-career pivot without having to take a step back because I get to learn this entire new space, while also getting to capitalize on all of the knowledge that I've acquired in my career thus far. And so it is this beautiful melding of expertise and opportunity. And I have never worked harder. I have never been busier, and I have never loved my job more. So I feel
Yeah.
so lucky for what I get
Oh
to do.
my gosh, and it's so exciting, but, like, the one thing I will say is that I almost don't think it's a massive surprise that you kind of came into this role. Like, when I think about legal operations and, like, even my own career and where I've gone, and now obviously I touch a piece of the community stuff that we will delve into later,
Yes.
I often call us, and people laugh when I say it, we're like niche generalists. Like,
Ah, I
we're
love it.
really thank you when you
I
get
feel
another
that. No,
cap.
I
We
feel seen.
are. Like, we're very entrepreneurial. Like, we've got to have all these different skills. And it just doesn't come as a massive surprise to me that you've ended up in this role. And, like, it wouldn't surprise me if you jumped to something completely different after this. I think it's just as long as it interests you, I think that you'll
Mm.
be a superstar at it. But one thing I kind of wanted to unpick there, no problem. One thing I wanted to unpick was that you mentioned, like, you have spent years in legal ops at like some insane companies, so like John
Mhm.
Deere, Micron, Zendesk.
Mhm.
But what, so you talked about, yeah, learning new knowledge and everything, but what did you take from those roles? Like, what did that teach you about what
Mm.
in-house legal community actually needs versus what people assume that it needs or wants?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. I think that it continues to surprise me how much our community feels, and I think how much the reality is that we still need to educate on what is possible with legal operations. I have a bigger bone to pick on this, which is around and I think we've all seen this play out. Like a GC talks to another GC, they're like, legal ops is the thing that you need to do. They're like, okay, great, and then they open a role that pays like nothing. And they're like, we're looking for a head of legal ops. You need to do 75 jobs in one and handle all of the pressure and like fix all my problems that I don't know to do anything with, but I'm going to pay you 75K a year. And then they get somebody in, that poor person is set up to fail. They do fail. GC goes back and says, ops didn't work. I don't know what all the fuss is about. And it's this like, we're getting to this point. This job is so effing complex. Like, and it's getting more so. Like the amount of stuff that a legal operations person needs to be able to handle. Like you said, niche generalist. I think that's a great way to like term it. Like you have to go so deep and be able to like straddle so many things broadly. That it's a really difficult role. And if we aren't paying people to do it, and if we're not setting them up for success and support and buy-in, like of course they're going to fail. And I think it's a wonder that more people don't. And I think that's a credit to the type of people who are attracted to this role is like I'm not hearing a ton of failure stories. I'm hearing a lot of stories about frustration on comp. And the comp report that Bright Flag does bore that out, I think, watching some of the numbers come in and the discrepancy in what background you come from. Like paralegals are really like underpaid in the space. Like women, even though we're the majority of this space, are 15 cents on the dollar for like comp. So there's this whole side of it with like who's attracted to this role, like what happens when you get to a certain level, like how do you kind of persevere? Um, I think that there's a big push, and I'm not sure if it's sort of like a push from the outside or a pull from the inside because it is a need, but it's sort of this you need to have, like, all the information before you can make a decision, perception, and that is simply first, it's impossible. You will never have enough information to know everything, and so, letting go of that, I think that what ops really needs internally to succeed is just permission to try and to fail, and a lot of spaces in legal teams, that is an education, like track for folks. It's not something that lawyers like to do. Like failure is not appealing. Nobody likes to fail, really. If you do, it's because you've learned that muscle or kind of this lovely freak of nature who like just get to go in and try things all the time. But having that buy-in from like up top to like not know everything and to move forward anyway and know that somebody has like your back at least to the extent of like, can you justify what you did? Was there a reason? Yes, great, okay, if it doesn't work, we'll just pivot. Like, that's really the muscle to build internally because you will never know enough to make the right decision. You will never have somebody like, we have folks who are doing similar things to us, but they don't know the culture that you're operating in. They don't know your principle, like your GC's, priorities. They don't know, the whiplash the legal team has had from other, like, implementations, like, just, for example, all of these things. And so I think being in-house, that's sort of my biggest takeaway is, like, it's you do the best you can with what you have every day. You need to give yourself permission to fail, and then you need to find external sort of validation in that so that you can continue to try. Because if you're waiting to do the right thing, maybe you'll get 1 or 2 things done. Like, you'll just never move at
Yeah.
the speed you need to because there's just too
No.
much information too fast.
100%. I
So
often think like just when you talk about failure and like not hearing that an awful lot from legal ops, I actually think we're too delusional to fail. Like we are,
I
my
love that.
God, like most of us are generally batshit crazy. Like I think a
Mhm.
lot of us will go on to either like lead our own companies or like, and it's back to that niche generalist that I really think that we are, is just like we have no option but to succeed.
I love that you're in
And
this.
we
Yeah.
just find the resources, we will figure it out. And it is such a almost, I don't know, like the personalities are almost sometimes a juxtaposition to what a GC has been born and bred to do. But I
Mm.
think we're a really good personality addition, like for a maybe more traditional GC. And I do think these are maybe kind of being phased out a little bit, but like have come from that like law firm-esque background. Everything is very like there is no room for failure, like everything's very straight line, like toe the line. And then we come in and we just like absolutely blow things up and it's like, how can we make this more efficient, but like let's have fun doing it kind of thing.
Yes.
Um but
Oh
yeah,
god.
I think we're pretty delusional, but in the best way. It's like, my God, if anybody can do it, I can. So like screw it, let's give this a go.
I have to comment on that really quickly, the, like, have fun doing it part. I got to a place when I started at Deere, and I was like, "If I'm gonna take this job, I'm only doing it if I can be my authentic self, if I can have fun." Like, it took me a lot like, good for you for having that as your baseline. I think I would have said that was my idea, but I wasn't really living it with any sort of, like, discipline until, like, that role. And so it took me till then, like, very late in my career to be like, I am my best self. Like, I give the best work product. I am the best colleague. I am the best, like, person before and after work, like, holistically, if I can and I don't really believe in the, like, bring your whole self to work thing. Like, I think that there are versions of ourselves that we have that are appropriate for the different, like, spaces that we operate in, but there's still an authentic, like showing up authentically to who you are in that context, making sure that it is fun for you, finding the things that like bring you joy. Like we are not there to just like grind. You will burn out. Like, you will burn out. And so being able to walk in and, like, put the, like, sort of line in the sand about, like, I'm only doing this if I can feel like that here, was a real turning point in my career. So I will say that I think has unlocked a lot of doors too, because when you walk in that way, it shows, and what you're able to accomplish, whether it's conscious or not, I think is just supported through that. So
Yeah.
I do want to double
Yeah.
down on that.
No, 100%. And I think even like, not that I think there's a difference in being liked and being respected. Like, hopefully you can be both. But I do think I would like and respect you a lot more if you came in to any workspace with that kind of attitude. Like, it's something that I'm trying to practice a little bit more this year is like, genuinely, it's not that deep. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody is human. Like, when things ultimately will go wrong, right? You could have this massive plan in your head about how this integration and flow and process is going to work, and then suddenly it blows up in your face. It's happened to everybody. I've learned certainly a lot of lessons, but it's really not that deep. Like, cool, you'll fix it. It's fine.
It's
Everybody's
not.
human.
It's not it that's where you get the best stories. That's where you, like, kind of understand, like, what is possible and what isn't in certain capacities. That is what shows you your path. Like, it's one of those things where it's, in hindsight, it happened for a reason. You learned something, it set you on a different trajectory, it opened a door, like, even if it felt like absolute shit in the moment, like, it ends up being, like, it's unfolding for you. I truly believe that. So, yeah, I think giving yourself that permission. The other thing I will say on this, and this has been a learning curve for me in this role more than any, is it can feel incredibly vulnerable to be in this space. Like, as an operations person, like, you're often, the only one who understands what the heck your team is doing, what you're doing, what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be there to educate everybody on what you're doing. You're having to, like, field expectations and sort of filter through them, understand what you agree with or not. But it's on a public stage, and you can be confident and authentic and all these things. You still have to, like, conquer this, like, vulnerability of showing up publicly in that way. And to your point on being liked or respected, like, just having to trust that if you're doing the best that you can, that will come to bear in the best way that it could. That's all you can really control. And in this role that I'm in now, like, having to learn this whole new thing, like, it's part of my job to be on LinkedIn now. And I, like, every day I'm not like, oh, that was a brilliant thing to say. And especially when I, like, was first getting started, I'm like, oh God, I, like, who do I think I am? And it's that kind of thing. But I hope that what it's doing, the community stuff, but also even before that, and the people who are being active, like, saying yes to, like, speaking engagements, trying things, it gives everybody else more permission to do the same. Because it's one thing to sort of, like, trade tried and true, like, templates, or, like, this is, like, a business plan, like, outline, or, like, whatever, like, sort of our, like, artifacts from work. It's another to really do that human side of things. And this is a hard industry to do it. There's a lot of expectation coming at you, and you have to just, like, know what's true for you and be open to learning when it turns out you're not totally dialed on everything. So, humble. But Zendesk has a value which I actually really love. It's called humbledent. It's humble and confident, but it's one of the company values that I've taken forward from that role, which I think is a great one.
Repeat it for me again. Humbled it.
Humbledent. Yeah. Humble
Humbled
plus
and
confident. Yeah.
Oh, it's a real marriage of the. I
Yes.
get it. I get it. Okay, very good. Okay, so let's jump into the core of it. How do you define community in the first place?
Yeah. I think, there's, like, sort of the easy space, which is, like, a shared a space where you have shared values and you're able to connect with people and feel seen and held. I think as I've spent more time here, and this is interesting, we sort of talked with the failure piece, where I'm really seeing it catch for me is as a container for productive disagreement. And so having it framed around how can we make each other better by sharing what we really think and being able to exchange ideas and to push back on each other and have debate, and, be if you're in a space where you're safe enough to disagree, like, I think that is a real, like, testament to how well a community is working. um, Everybody can surround themselves in an echo chamber, right, with yes people. Like, you
It's
can just,
never been more easy, I would argue. Like, yeah.
yeah, as we can curate our entire lives to serve that purpose, right? And so if you find a space where you can, sure, there's things that maybe bind you together in the overall sense of like we are all similarly kind of like positioned in our work lives, but that then you can have conversations where you feel safe enough to bring differing points of view, to push back, to disagree, and still like care about each other and want to spend time together at the end of the day. Like that is sort of the become my goal for a good community.
That's amazing. So that's not something that I have ever like consciously thought of in that way, but it does bring to mind like I have always said this about like panels and dinners and things that I have gone to. And we hosted one actually in France where
Oh,
this did happen, and I was so thrilled that most of these things we go to now, you'll know my arguments around this. I find that a lot of things nowadays are very high level theoretical, and that annoys me because I think we're in an age where people are really confused. There's a lot of options out there and they just want to see things in action or like get their hands on it and somebody teach me how to use this thing or do this thing and what not to do. But what I think has been so like missing from this is disagreement, and that people are so afraid to disagree. And I think there's a massive difference and misconception between like argue and politely like disagree or debate on things. And it happened in France where we were all on a like a panel round table at a dinner, and we had a gentleman at one of the tables who spoke up and just said, I politely disagree. And from there, we had the best conversation. Everybody shook hands at the end. Like, again, it's not that everybody's play happy families all the time, but like we can respectfully disagree. And we could go into this in a whole different argument. We don't have to get political and
I
things.
know
And
this
Jared's
is
going to
like
cut
a
that
this
out.
is a micro of
Uh,
the macro, right? But
yeah,
like
100%. Yeah,
but that's
take
what community's
everything.
for. You should get to
Yeah,
this is our space to practice. And if we can do that here, like, productively, then you bring that out into your larger, like, relationships, communities, like, world, like, politics. Like, I don't wanna be Pollyanna about it or too, like, woo woo, but I like, this is I feel so called to this role because we only have so much like space that we can impact, right? Like we all are only able to reach so far in our day-to-day lives. And if what I can add is a space where people can practice like productive disagreement and finding, and this is from a personal like anecdote, like in my relationship, like finding that this can be more connective than divisive and actually like add so much more richness to the experience. Like that is my like why. That is my ultimate why for this. And I think it's incredibly important because as we just said, it extends beyond like a dinner at a legal operations event. It is our world right now, and it is really important.
yeah, absolutely. And then just to add on top of that,
Mhm.
it can be so boring to be told that you're right all the time. Like,
And
or
that's
that like, I
absolutely.
agree. Oh my God, you're great. Not that I do. Sorry, just to caveat with that. Not that everybody tells me, oh my God, you're great. This is so correct all the time. But like, it's so
It's a rough
refreshing.
life, Allie. It's just
Oh
when
my
that's your
God,
biggest problem. Like
tell me about it. No, absolutely not. Like, again, the best conversations have come from, okay, interesting. I don't necessarily think about it this way. And it could be something as simple as, hey, I'm setting up this flow. I want to do it this way. And they're like, no, I think you should do it that way. Again, more richness,
yeah.
more perspective, and everybody goes away learning something else.
Yeah.
Um, the before I ask you what a healthy community looks like now that we've kind of defined it, one thing I do want to touch on is that so we both run separate communities for a vendor, but they both look slightly different. So from my what I actually do is I host a Slack community. It is specifically for in-house legal professionals only. It's
Mhm.
called the Legal Engineering Project. We launched around 11 weeks ago. It has blown up in a way that I never thought possible, which has been amazing. So again, applications only, but it is for in-house builders. So we all know how, again, we've touched on this, how rapidly fast the whole world is changing. It's on fire.
Mhm.
But specifically for the legal profession, that is changing every single day. So again, when I was in-house, I was probably doing more legal engineering work. We had very little budget. It was, looking back, phenomenal. One of the best things that ever happened to me. I had to talk to all these different departments and find out what tools we were already paying for, and then build like these Frankenstein solutions and just stitch things together to make something
Mhm.
work. But I had nobody to talk to. I found that when I would connect with other legal ops professionals who I have to say were so, so kind to even talk to me in the first place, um, there was some sort of difference in terms of the roles. Like maybe they were more focused on external counsel. Maybe somebody else was more focused on, I don't know, billing guidelines. Like it was completely different, and I just had nobody to bounce ideas off. So I ended up going to the dev team internally, and that's who I would talk to and things. So now that legal engineering and legal ops is developing more into the builder space, I wanted to give people an opportunity to have a space that I didn't have, to come in, ask questions, like ask the stupidest questions. There's no such thing. On like, how could I do ABC? Like, what is an MCP? Blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
B was to upskill people in any way possible. And that doesn't mean just coming from me, it's everybody collaborating, like we just touched on. Because the legal profession is changing every day, lawyers are being demanded more and more of. They need to be more technical. It's, I think, required of everybody at this point to understand AI. And yeah, just give them a place of belonging so that nobody has to do this by themselves. And then finally was to try and define the legal engineering role. And we talked about this just before we started recording, was I think that legal operations, don't get me wrong, it's come a massive, massive long way. And the work that the likes of Clock and everything have done has just been phenomenal. But I do think that there was perhaps a bit of a failure around really standardizing this role. And
Hmm.
not that the blame lies on anybody in particular, but like we talked about the salaries, like there's a
Hmm.
huge range of salaries out there, of job descriptions, of what's required of you. Not only state to state, but like country to country. It's insane. And I would love for that not to happen with legal engineering. And if this can be my one little piece of how I can maybe contribute to that bigger picture, then that's what I'll do. So mine is more of a Slack community where we do videos and build alongs, and yes, we have events and things like that. Yours looks slightly more different. So what does yours look like day to day?
Yeah, well, first of all, I have to tell you, I'm so impressed with what you have built and in the time that you have, and just like watching you rocket ship this whole thing. It's just going to continue. And I am thrilled for you and thrilled for this community, and watching these new roles that hadn't existed before, like, start popping up, and it's only gonna continue, right? Like, and we talked about that too. Things that we hadn't conceived of as options are going to become options, both within, I think, legal ops, adjacent to legal ops, within the business, within the legal ecosystem. So, like, yeah, going to a vendor, that type of option, for new roles, different comp, like, if that's not gonna catch up, like, the talent is gonna follow that too. So I just wanna say you're doing an incredible service to the industry and an incredible job yourself, and it is a pleasure to, like, watch, and it's just good job,
Oh,
Allie,
thank
like,
you. As
such a
go
fan.
us,
Like,
go us.
yeah.
We're just
Yeah,
great.
so the Brave Flight community, it's a little bit different, right? Because we're not sort of supporting an emerging role. We're working with folks who are at, any stage in their career. There is going to be this need for foundational understanding on, what's going on with my vendors, my matters, and my spend. And as the product continues to expand into kind of that full ELM platform, which it is very rapidly doing, our work is really to meet our users where they are, to make sure that they're supported through, we're bringing, and we were talking about this earlier, like, the best AI possible in front of them, like, wherever they are, whether that be in system. We're releasing an MCP server next month. It's like, how can we invest in our core platform to support our users and to make this more valuable to folks who are not yet users. And so my job and community is to educate. So I do a lot of work, like thought leadership pieces, blog pieces. I try really hard to bring the practitioner hat and to make them practical. Like, that's really something that I view as crucial, because I'm with you. Like, conversations become, it's fun to sort of, like, talk high level about these things. You can go on and on and on and sound smart and use big words and all the things, but, like, what are you actually doing is what everybody wants to know. And so, like, sharing what I have done is something that's really important. I do a lot of stuff on site, so a lot of events, and travel a ton as part of that. I get to work with our customer advisory board, so that's a group that I get to own. And actually, where this is going from that, we had such a good year last year that actually from the board they had asked, can we continue to keep this going? Can we start an alumni network? Like, because one of the benefits is not just like helping to, like, weigh in on and shape the direction of the product, and to bring that, like, their feedback and expertise to that, but the networking with each other. And so I'm going to be moving that into a larger like customer advisory board alumni association for current and future members, that everybody gets this like really handpicked cream of the crop, in my opinion, network out of like engaging in this way. So that's another benefit. The other thing that we haven't done, and it's simply because of capacity, are things like user summits. And so we will be doing that starting this year. And that's something I've been pushing really hard on with my colleague Sinead. I think you know her. And we are going to be bringing our users together so that they can understand, kind of similar to what you're talking about. What are the, you don't know what you don't know. So what are the things that you're doing within this tool? What are you finding successful? How are you thinking about setting this up, even within a platform that's more established versus it being a role that's emerging that covers so much ground? Like, there's still all of these nuance to, like, how did you set this up? What's effective? How are you having these conversations? Like, take it forward. And I think the last piece that has been really important to me is that on the ground teaching. So I will, with our MCP release, I'm super excited about that. I mean, it changes the game, moving people from forcing them to work in platform into truly meeting them where they are. So you'll be able to work from whatever AI workspace you're in, engage with your data in Bright Flag, have that governed auditable system of record that's got standardized data. So all of that good stuff there, but you don't have to go in it. Your team doesn't have to go in it. And so I'm gonna go kind of on a roadshow around the country, and we'll see if this gets over to Europe. I would love that too. But here's the way I'm conceiving of it is like, here's like a scenario, hands on keyboard, where we are together going to build a skill, and it is going to be something you can take home as a markdown file, and it is going to be a dashboard or something like what is valuable to you. And so let's do that together as we all learn like what's possible in this new world, because we are the ones shaping it, all of us. And I mean that is the kind of like global us engaging in this conversation right now. It's new uncharted territory, and it's sort of this art of the possible question, because we've been so limited and opt by what we could access in past. And now, because of legal engineers, because of technologies that connect us without like heavy oversight from IT and Lyft, like these data points can come together to really change the nature of the work. And I think that that's what we're seeing happen. But getting people in and doing it is the first step. So that's where I really view my like commitment for the like next, like, let's say 6 to 12 months.
You raised a point that like I know you and I are definitely on the same page on. So it's not going to provide a super heated debate, unfortunately, for everybody listening.
Or like
But
disagreement point. Yeah. We need to
yeah,
find something, Ellie.
I know, we really, really do. We align on too much.
Mhm.
But something that I want to talk about a little bit more for users that we both think is super important is you touched on the MCP and bringing Bright Flag and the platform to where the people are already working.
Mhm.
And I think anybody who's familiar with Wordsmith knows that that is literally our core messaging as well, which is, cool, we can have this platform over here if you so choose and you want to use it as maybe legal. But the rest of your business, and we've said this before, legal touches every department. Like, I
Mhm.
don't know if there is the same reach that another department would have as legal does. So why are we creating these platforms that sit over here and we're asking the business to come to legal? You're not going to have that influence. It's just
Yep.
not going to happen. I think we've seen how that has played out with other platforms that have particularly not gone well when it comes to implementation. Um, but yeah, I'm really interested to hear your take on it, and I'm really excited to hear how it goes. But I know that you have more of an opinion on how you think that this is what's going to happen with all applications anyways. It's just going to be data.
Well, I think, you're talking about the reach of legal, and I think that's true. And I would say, and I think that this is just another way to package what you just said, Ellie, which is like reach is not the same as influence. And so if what you think you're getting from I engage with my stakeholders here is I can make my stakeholders come to this particular application in order to engage with me, like Th I mean, how many stories of CLM implementation, like, horror stories have you heard? Like, I mean, it works sometimes, often it doesn't. We're handicapped in legal because we have so many, like, broad touches, and we can't, like, force people to do things. I've had, like, GCs I've worked for who absolutely will not put a mandate out for people to, like, advise on how people work, because that's not the role that they see legal in, which, like, that makes sense to me too. Like, people, the legal department's job is not to, like, be legal. Like, the legal department's job is, like, to facilitate business. Like, we're all here because 'cause we're trying to make money, and if you're not, like, making that easy for the company, like, you're in the way, and so having these platforms that require the business, but even legal, like, even the lawyers in the department to, like, interact, like, ops is like, "Oh, this cool shiny new toy, and it's gonna solve all your problems, it looks so great in demo," but, like, the gating factor is, like, only if everybody uses it perfectly the way that it's, like, sort of set up, is just, like, becoming antiquated really quickly. I think that there are going to be, like, in future my this is Anna, not Bright Flag, okay, just, like, predicting the future. I can see a world where we are all working from our AI workspace command center, Glean, Claude, ChatGPT, whatever it is. You've got it set up so that it's, like, connected via MCP or, like, whatever, like, and then there's API integrations in the back, but you have these systems that hold data that are structured to these, like, data warehouses of, like, business intelligence ready data that is governed and auditable, which is super important, which is why you don't just throw everything into an AI workspace. And you work from this command center, and the value for these systems becomes like, how can I set my users up for success by meeting them where they are and making this easy? And how can I ensure that the work that I'm now putting into my product is into like facilitating the capacity of the core product and ensuring my users are happy versus these companies we're looking at, and from my vantage point within the e-billing space, like seeing folks who are really like really on the warpath of you must work in the platform. Like, I don't know if that's because they see a threat, or if it's like, you leave this space and then where like, you're gonna go and, like, decide something, is more worthwhile for you. But it's just that's only gonna work for so long because like I said, I think that the world is moving to a place where we work from command centers. We're gonna be agent managers. We're gonna be in this completely different, and the lawyers are too. They're gonna become business people even more so than they are currently. And so, speaking of, like, niche generalists, like, it's going to be a really transformative next, like, decade, probably not even that long in this space. And if your technology is not, like, open kimono, like, let's talk about it. Where are you? How can we meet you where you are? Like, we are here to make your life easy, and we can show you proof of that instead of just put you in a perfect sandbox and it works there. Like, I don't know. As a buyer of technology, I would be a very red flag about anything but that.
Yeah, absolutely. I am gonna steal open kimono. I
Oh, have
think
you
that
not
is the
heard that? I will take
best thing
yeah, yeah.
that you have ever said. That is amazing. Um, but the one thing I will say again, just to add a little bit on top of what you said, is that I do think in the past, like if we think about product teams, like the golden standard has been that you release an application um, on their device, on their computer, because that keeps them there longer and therefore that's
Mhm,
a better metric and blah, blah, blah.
mhm,
And I do think that that is just changing. Like, I think that they have the wrong perspective from a legal tech perspective, because what's actually happening is, like we said, legal is touching multiple departments. Suddenly, John from sales is not going to follow the process and go to that application because he doesn't want to, because he works in Slack and
mhm.
that is his command center. So I think that vendors need to adopt a mindset of how can we integrate this to, like you said, the command center where everybody already works. Sure, we can still have the app over here because lawyers might want to come into it, do a little bit more. It's easier to host more things on there. But
Mhm.
if we really want to make ourselves stickier and make everybody happy, like let's integrate to where the business already lives. And then before you know it, okay, like we said, John from sales is following the process. Legal's happy, John's happy, his work's getting turned around quicker. He can go and he can send that order form out, and nobody is unhappy with the platform. Everybody thinks it's a brilliant addition. Satisfaction rates have gone up. User stickiness has gone up for the vendor. I think it's a no-brainer, but that's just, again,
Totally.
that's our opinion.
I mean, and it already has been for the kind of more mature departments that I've seen where, like, not to pick on CLM, but, like, sales and
We
CLM.
will. I'll
Yeah,
pick
we
on
can pick on
CLM.
it a
Yeah.
little bit, right? Like, it's just so easy. But like, getting people to follow that process is near impossible. And so the solve that I would come up with and that people I know is you integrate. And that until now has been a really heavy lift to like try and meet them in Salesforce, to try and meet them in whatever. And so like even out of the box, like these integrations or in like Slack where you can initiate things or Teams. But it was never successful to be like, you need to go to this page to click this button to submit your like request. It was always a how do we Frankenstein something together that would work better? And that has just the world with that has opened up with AI and with MCP servers and things that we haven't even seen yet and will continue to discover as this gets easier. And um, it's going to be a wild ride. But I think ultimately, for the folks who are engaging with it, I think it's for the good. Like it's what we weren't doing is not like, or what we were doing is not what we should be aspiring to. So let's see what we can figure out now.
So back to the original question, because we did get sidetracked, but I think it was for a very important reason. But how do you, so I know how I measure the health of my community. Like it might not be a perfect science, but I have monthly active users. I have, obviously, yeah, the engagement side of things, the satisfaction rates are people showing up, blah, blah, blah. For you, what does that look like? And how would one know when things are starting to go sideways?
It's a really interesting question. So we're figuring this out kind of live time. My role is new in the company as of, like I said, November when I started. It is a marketing function. So I am rolling into an entire team of folks who are dedicated to facilitating like engagement, demo requests, content, like consumption, webinar attendance, like these sort of like metric things that you can pull in. Also, like, yeah, satisfaction and like the different kind of like G2 awards that we get and all of these like great things. So, we also have this incredible community is a team effort, man. Like our CSMs and the way that they take care of our customers, like, never in my life have I engaged with customers who likes legal tech? Like, who I know a lot of people who, like, wanna complain about it, like, or it's, like, a necessary thing, but, like, our customers are such raving fans. It is such a privilege to be part of a team that delivers that kind of reaction, and so, I'll be at conferences and people just, like, roll up to, like, rave about it. I'm like, "Oh my," like, I can take 0 credit, but I'm so thrilled you're happy, like, let's talk about it. So, the health metrics beyond everything that you sort of rattled off and the, like, just sort of number side of things, like, that part I think we have on lock, and I do some of it, but our team does most of it. And then we've got our customers, right, who are engaging with our CSMs all the time and getting hopefully the world-class service that they can expect from Bright Flag. And then there's like my world, which we're still figuring out because I don't extend only to customers. I extend to like the entire ecosystem. And so how on earth do you understand whether things are working, whether what I'm saying is resonant, like whether, this is something that will like bring people together or is more repellent? Like it's really, really hard. You know, I have anecdotal evidence of when I'm interacting with people that they had like a great time at dinner or like they made a connection because of it or they downloaded something and interacted with it and sent me a note or like those types of things. I don't think a lot of people will come to you voluntarily unless they're like really unhappy. But to be like, that was mediocre and I'm not getting a lot out of it. Right. Like and it's hard to tell people that kind of stuff. I have people I trust who I talk to and give me feedback like, that LinkedIn post didn't really say a lot. It felt kind of hollow. Or, that webinar I thought was going to be this way, but it was marketed differently. And so it's really helpful to hear that candid feedback. We're still working on the pulse check for the larger space. Tips and tricks appreciated. I would love any advice. You talked about like having a Slack community, right? And it's something that I've certainly thought about. Cannot even tell you how many like WhatsApp groups or Slack channels and like I've been added to that are meant to be community that just end up being nothing, just like crickets or like two people will have conversations. Uh, so I think that where it works well is something that you're talking about, right? Like people are kind of defining together and working together. I'm not sure that that's the right thing, although I may be wrong, like for the Bright Flag community angle or the, beyond Bright Flag. Like how do you bring together 5,000 practitioners globally? Like that's my community truly. And everybody doesn't want to be on a Slack channel. everybody probably doesn't want to engage with me. Like, but I think that my mission being, how can I advance the conversation and give a platform more than me advancing the conversation, give a platform to people who are doing the work and advancing the conversation or the thinking. Like, that's truly the space that I'm feeling really positive about the traction. So, more to come on how we can measure health aside from just sort of like spit in the wind. You know, anybody listening, if you have thoughts on this, let me know. If you have feedback for me directly, let me know. Like, it's a lot of like begging the lovely people that I get to interact with for like candid feedback, which is challenging. It's hard. It's hard to tell people if you don't like, yeah, like we were just saying, like health is a container to have productive disagreement, and that includes constructive feedback. And so when we start hearing more of that, maybe that will be my health barometer. Like, it's not the no news is good news, it's like bad news is good news.
Somebody told me I suck this week. That's how you know, yeah, people are interested.
There that it like, you're making an impact, right? Like,
Yeah.
somebody cared enough to go tell you that. I would hope it's not that. I don't think you suck, Ellie, I think you're great.
Thank
That's
you.
a little bit. That
Thank you so much.
man, that's the other thing is, like, I am such an extrovert, and I love people so much, and I also am having to develop such a thick skin in this role, because even things like, you invite people to dinner, and they say yes, and then they don't come at the last minute. Like, I've done that because life happens, and everybody is human. It is not personal, but, like, it's so hard to not take it that way, and even the, like, yeah, the comments where it's, like, anything other than, like, and this is, like, the like type A personality too, right? Anything that's not like you have over and above achieved, I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm failing, and I am, like, completely letting everybody down, and I have no right to be here." And that's like it's a real thing. You gotta work on that. It's a growth edge for me, so I'm definitely in the spot to be learning, a different way to kind of handle the hard stuff, which is good.
Yeah, but like one thing I really want to give credit where credit's due. I think that something that is severely undervalued in legal and legal tech specifically is like you can have a great product, right? And it can be the best thing on the market. But two things that go wildly unnoticed, I would say, is brand and
Mhm.
community. And it's something that I know for a fact that people would absolutely agree with when it comes to Bright Flag. Like Bright Flag is up there for me with like a company who has absolutely nailed it. Like what you've been able to curate is just second to none. And then the third thing I will say is like your customer success is chef's kiss.
Mm.
And it's no wonder to me that people do come up to you at those conferences because like you absolutely deserve it. Like the team is just phenomenal. So like credit where credit's due. I would love to know how are people measuring these things? Like I think it's such an imperfect science. Like there is no right way of measuring it. Like yes, okay, for the Slack group, that's what I report on. I give monthly active users because I have no other way of measuring this. Cool. I can take a screenshot of somebody who was in the pipeline who was like, I joined TLEP and it was super great. How do we measure that? Like, how do you report to a CEO on that? There's no figure.
It's
Like
hard.
marketing, it's something that like coming from ops, I'm finding incredibly difficult to get my head
Amen.
around.
Same thing. Coming from ops where it's like you had these, like,
Yeah.
very clear, like, "I can give you my this is what we're aiming for. We either made it or didn't, but it is crystal," like, to this, like, mush of, like, does this actually even and you can get metrics, but, like, do those metrics mean what you think they mean? Like, you have to even question that, which is wild.
Yeah, it's so open to interpretation. We look at community and you see these massive events like Road Beauty has something on. But now being on the other side of that, I can see how unglamorous it is.
Oh
Like
gosh.
for me, like the stress and the admin that goes into this is
Yes.
astronomical. Like, and I probably shouldn't be doing it this way, but like I told you, we are closed group, so we're application only. So I have to go through and I have to verify all like we've had over
Yeah, wow,
500 applications and like
girl.
I am not complaining. I am so proud of that. But I have had to verify 500 people
Oh, it's a
individually
slog.
to
Yeah.
make sure, but there is no other way that I can truly trust AI or another way to do that. And like ultimately it's my baby, so I'm going to do that. But I was just wondering from your perspective, what does that look like? Is there anything that you would tell people who are maybe thinking about this as a career? Like, be realistic. Like, what are the unglamorous sides of it all?
Oh my god. So when I was interviewing for this job, one of our incredible AEs, who I'll leave nameless, but she was interviewing me and she's like basically she's like, "You know you're not gonna just, like, get to go be an influencer, right?" Which, like, candidly had not even crossed my mind, like, that is so repugnant to like, I fashion myself as a adult professional, Ellie, like, that was never gonna be, like, what I was in this for at all, it was truly like a, I love people, I want to be of service, but, like, but, like, she said that, and it's sort of like I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's, like, a side to this, huh?" Like, you're, like, out in public, you're sort of perceived as this thing, like, people start to, like, recognize you, like, this side of things, and so that was
You
one thing
are a
she
bright
said.
flag. Like, I guess that's what it is. Like, when I think of bright flag, I do think of you. I think of Kevin Cohen. I think like that's who you are. So you are an influencer. But yes, anyways,
Oh,
I
it's
get.
that's so wild. We could do a whole 'nother thing on that, but, like but, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the point too, is, like, I am here to be the front-facing person, like, and lucky me, and what an incredible job and opportunity, and like I said, I feel like I won the lottery, so, like, that's a side to it, but she's also like, "And what are you gonna do when, like, nobody shows up for your dinners?" And I was like, "Cry?" Like, I don't know, like
What
I was
do you
like, "No, it's
expect
right
me to
here."
say? Like,
No, it was I appreciate it too, like, and now we've become, like, really good friends and, like, have a great, like, rapport, and, like, we didn't not then either. She was just truly being honest with me about, like, the like you're saying, the unglamorous parts of this, which are you everything that it takes to put something out in public has many, many hours of, like, throwing spaghetti at the wall, grunt work, like, you have to, like, embarrass yourself, like, that's a vulnerability thing, like, you just have to lean into it knowing that you're putting something that's imperfect out in the world, but, like, like, I want people to attend something. I'm not sending, like, AI generated emails, I'm writing everybody an email that and, like, it will be hundreds that I am sending to people, and, like, it shows if you're sending, like, a form letter, right? And, like, that's not community, that's not what I want my name attached to, so there is some of that, like, just the work that goes into putting things on, and then, yeah, the embarrassment, like, public embarrassment, the, like, rejection, like I said, like, people not showing up, the, like, just the feedback, like, you put anything out, and, again, I think that and Kevin has been good at coaching me on this too, is like, if you get a troll, it means you've, like, made it, like, it will happen, like but, like, stuff like that, it's and yes, I agree with you, there's this huge amount of, like, admin work behind the scenes. Thank God I'm doing this in the age of AI, though, like, I have gotten so much leverage out of, like, just building the like, where I can, build the piping to make things easier, like, amazing, and, like, as an ideation partner, research, amazing, but, like, e again, it shows when it's coming from that, and, like, having to put the thought and work and discernment and everything that we talk about being human into it still exists. So, like, there's all of that stuff, but it's for me, the unglamorous stuff is the, like it's really this, uh, you know, e the vulnerability, the rejection, the, like, feeling stupid, the, like, playing over in your head how you engaged with somebody that you wish you'd done better or different, the thing that you wish you hadn't said that now lives forever online, it's these things where you don't get to make mistakes in a vacuum at all, and I as we were saying earlier, I think a lot of ops work is that because you are on a platform, but this is just, like, on steroids, and so that's the part of community that I think is is really, forcing me to, like, reckon with a lot of, like, insecurity and just sort of general, like, growth opportunities that I have. So I'm grateful for it, I wouldn't change anything. I It is not an easy job.
no, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. And don't get me wrong. Like, we definitely there's a lot of perks to this role. I get to talk to super interesting
Oh,
people
yeah.
like you. I get to travel. I get to do all these things. But there is an intense sense of vulnerability and embarrassment that
Mhm,
comes with it. And the
mhm,
way, like, we could do a whole spin-off episode on this. And I think particularly, like, we both post on LinkedIn. We're both very
mhm.
active there. I have a Substack. I know you do other things. And I've tried to reframe it that embarrassment is just the cost of entry.
I love it.
That, like,
Absolutely
it's
agreed.
just what like, I got my first troll this year. It was a very interesting experience. But now that you said that, Kevin has validated my feelings and I know that I've made it. And
Yeah,
I
take that as that's a win, girl, for sure.
that's a win.
I had a conversation with Sarah Irwin when I was in Dublin for our kickoff, and she has done an incredible job with her community. And, before you were sort of up and running to the extent that you were, like she was the only person I could think of who's kind
Yeah.
of done it the same way that I was approaching it. And so she was so kind to like share her perspective and like just like kind of get you ready for what's coming because yeah, strap in. It's coming. It happens fast. But like we both think, right? Like the good outweighs the bad by so much. It's just such a privilege. It's such a privilege. And like the people in this space are so interesting and incredible. And like some of my best friends are out of this work. And I get to meet people I wouldn't have occasion to otherwise. And it's the best. It's the best.
To wrap this all up and kind of tie it all together, so as legal work gets more and more automated and AI assisted, what happens to community? So does it matter more? Does it get harder to sustain when fewer people are doing the manual work that used to bring them together? Like, where do
Mhm.
you sit on the spectrum?
Yeah, both of those things. I think it becomes exponentially more important and it will get harder to do. Um, One of the reasons I also felt called to do this is I think just generally in the world, mostly because of social media. I'm not on, by the way, I'm not on any social media except for LinkedIn, and that's because I have to be for work. I told Kevin when I started, I was like, I think the world would be a much better place without it. I have a whole vendetta on social, but I think people are so lonely. And I think it is because there is this artificial, like, or this synthetic like connection that exists through technology, which is not real and does not serve it's like junk food compared to like, eating your
Yeah.
vegetables. Like one has like a temporary high and one is actual nourishment for your body. Like I think that as the manual work goes away and things shift and change and who knows what's going to happen with the in office, out of office, all of these things, but like sort of like things that we had relied on with this connective tissue to just sort of like default to community. And we felt some of this just going through pandemic as well, like those things fall away, it has to be something you become very intentional about. And I think that having a space where we are now, one, creating a new reality together, and two, like just just like needing to find what makes us human and what is different than what AI can do as we're reinventing, like that is something that requires interaction to do. You do not do that by yourself. Like we can all make little like steps together, but in order to like like what is it? Go fast, go alone, go far, go together, and we need to go far with this. Like this is the staying power one. So I think it becomes exponentially more important. It is also going to become a lot harder and I am happy to be here now, learning what I'm learning now so that I can be more impactful in future when that continues to be difficult to come up with some sort of plan and to chart some sort of course, even if it's the wrong one, like just to start trying things because having a way to do that is imperative not only for the industry, but like for the world, truly.
Anna, look, I am so, so thankful to have you on. I'm so thankful to be able to call you a friend. And this has been such an interesting conversation. And I really hope that people learn something from it and are able to give us tips on how to measure community.
Yeah, that tips so appreciated. Ellie, thank you for having me. It is such a joy to see you and to speak with you. Let's do it again soon.